ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaskar, my dear friends. Today, Hindus are celebrating the Janmashtami worth all over the world. This is a very, very auspicious and holy occasion. Lord Krishna is worshipped by Hindus with enthusiasm and with great respect. Lord Krishna has given the message of humanity through Gita. Gita is the most sacred book of Hinduism. It is at par with Upanishads and Brahma Sutra. For Advaita Vedanta, the Gita, Brahma Sutra, and Upanishads are the three main sources of knowledge of Advaita Vedanta. So, on the auspicious occasion of Janmashtami, I am going to give this video on the life of Lord Krishna. I start the video with Krishna's birth. 5,000 years ago, before Krishna was born, there was chaos on earth. Kansa, the king of the Yadavas clan, was a wicked ruler who sent waves of terror throughout the kingdom. The Yadava clan, consisting of many different smaller clans, and they all obeyed Kansa's orders out of fear. Kansa would burn down and destroy entire villages whenever he wished. People used to say that he was reincarnated from an evil demon. Mother Earth saw this and decided to go visit Vishnu and ask for help. Vishnu was known as the preserver and restored balance to the world. Mother Earth took the form of a cow and went to go visit Vishnu. She told Vishnu how Kansa was destroying earth and asked for him to be born once again and vanquish evil as he had done before. Vishnu happily agreed and Mother Earth left. Kansa had a sister named Devaki. She was unaware of Kansa's actions, though their father knew what Kansa was doing. Devaki was not evil as Krishna was, and in fact she was kind and generous. She was soon to marry Vasudeva, who was a kind man as well. When the wedding came around, they held a great ceremony that lasted a few hours. Kansa had attended the celebration and followed the crowds of people that had gathered there. Once the wedding celebration ended, Devaki and Vasudeva started to go home in a chariot. Just before they left, Kansa ordered the charioteer to step down so he could drive them home himself. The charioteers, the charioteer stepped down and allowed Kansa to take his place. As they left, the clouds formed a circle and the sky turned dark. God directed a message to Kansa. It said, Kansa, beware. Devaki's eighth son will kill you and relieve earth from your burden. The sky cleared and everyone was silent and took in the message sent by God himself. Kamsa feared that this was true and he tried to prevent that from happening. He wasted no time and quickly ordered his guards to take Vasudeva and Devaki to his dungeon. The guards had no choice but to listen and they carried out his orders. During the years that Vasudeva and Devaki stayed in the dungeon, many things happened. Vasudeva promised to bring each and every child to Kamsa after its birth. When the first child was born, he kept his word and brought the child to Kamsa right away. Kansa said that since this is only Vasudeva's first child and not the eighth as well, that the baby was a girl that she could live. His advisors told him to kill all the children. When Kamsa asked why, they gave him a detailed explanation. If he counted backwards, the first become the eight. If he counted them in a circle like a lotus flower, each time starting with a different one, all of them could be the child destined to kill Kamsa. When Kamsa heard this, he killed the 7 children. Devaki and Vasudeva prayed to Vishnu for help. Vishnu heard their call for help and appeared before them. He said that the eighth child would kill Kamsa and that he had to take birth again. He then reincarnated himself and gave them the baby. They named him Krishna and thanked Vishnu. Vishnu turned to Vasudeva and gave him orders. He said to take Krishna into a town in Gokula. He told him where the town was located and how to go to it, get to it. Vishnu continued and said that a newborn girl resided in that village. Yasoda, the mother of the baby girl, was asleep. Go there and switch Krishna and the girl. Then bring the baby girl back here to the dungeon. Vasudeva and Devaki again thanked Vishnu and then he left. Vasudeva's change magically came undone and he rose to carry out the orders he had been given by Vishnu. Vasudeva put Krishna in a basket and covered him in a blanket. He did not know how a prisoner could get out of a prison without permission, but a blue light flashed throughout the dungeon that left the gates open and guards asleep. Vasudeva walked out of the dungeon with Krishna in his hands and made his way to Gokula. On his way there, he came across a river. Rain was pouring down, and Vasudeva did not know how to get across. He started to walk, but no rain came on him, and the water parted as at his feet, so that only a trickle of water ran on his feet. The celestial serpent of Vishnu is said to have done this so Vasudeva could cross. Vasudeva reached the shore and started walking toward the village. He came to a house and entered. He saw the newborn girl next to her mother, Yasoda, who was asleep. He switched the babies and returned to dungeon with the baby girl. Right after Vasudeva returned to the dungeon with the girl, Kansa entered, awoke the guards and closed the gate behind him. He walked into the cell, and when he saw the baby he ran towards it. Kansa took the baby girl from Devaki and Vasudeva and was getting ready to kill her. Just before he did, the baby transformed into a god and appeared before Kamsa. Kamsa was informed that the eighth child of Devaki, his destined killer, had already been born. Kamsa considered letting Devaki and Vasudeva free and released them soon after. Krishna's Chapter 2, Krishna's childhood. Krishna's father left him at Gokula with Yasoda, and after a few hours everyone woke up. Nanda the chief and Yasoda his wife were happy that they had a baby boy. News that a baby boy was born to the chief spread like wildfire throughout the entire village. Nanda went to speak with a saint. The saint told Nanda to never let strangers near Krishna or bad things may happen. Nanda told Yasoda what the saint said, and they took great care of Krishna. As Krishna grew older, Kansa called upon demons and asked them to kill Krishna. The first one he sent was a demoness who could change form. The demoness was able to find Krishna and convince Yasoda to let her see Krishna. She mixed poison with Krishna's food and fed it to him. Krishna clung on to her hand and she ran into a forest close by. The demoness fell down and dead, and the villagers assumed that God had saved Krishna. Kamsa sent many demons after Krishna. Another one of them was a demon called Shakta. There was a ceremony for the parents of Gokula. Yasoda was holding the ceremony and told some boys to watch over Krishna while she went inside to attend the ceremony. As soon as Yasoda went inside, Shakta came and thought it would be easy to drop something heavy on Krishna. Shakta quickly grabbed a builder and dropped it directly above Krishna. Krishna kicked the builder, builder toward the demon, and the force caused Shakta's death. Yasoda came back outside and saw the demon. She asked the children what had happened, and they told the truth. From then on, Yasoda was more afraid to leave Krishna alone. One sunny day, Yasoda was sitting on her favorite spot. She was wondering what dangers might befall Krishna. Krishna sat down on her lap and opened his mouth for a yawn. Inside, Yasoda saw the entire universe, the sky, the earth, the heavens, stars, planets, the sun and the moon, water, oceans, and everything that existed. Yasoda was a bit comforted because Krishna carried the entire universe within him, as did Balarama, his brother. They could take care of themselves since they carried the universe in them. Krishna and Balarama soon started to crawl and got themselves into more scrapes than any of the other children. Yasoda soon forgot about her household work and had to follow Krishna and Balaram to make sure they did not get hurt. She found herself running around the house, following them. Krishna would always be doing something dangerous or mischievous. Sometimes he played with the kitchen knife or picked hot coals from the fireplace. Other times he stuck his hands in a pot full of butter and ate it because he loved it. Yasoda found it hard to accomplish her work. One day the milkmaids came together and spoke of Krishna. They went to Yasoda and informed her of Krishna's pranks. They said that sometimes Krishna would come into their houses and he ate their butter and cream. One of them said that they gave Krishna a cup of butter and milk, but he came unseen, broke the pots, and then ate the butter. Yasoda gave them golden pots to replace the mud pots that Krishna had broken, and Krishna was happy because he wanted to let them have some of what he had. One day Krishna found an old lady who sold fruits. He asked for some fruits and the lady said he could have them for free. Krishna would not take it for free and told her to wait. He ran to his home and called for his mother. Yasoda was not at home, so Krishna went in search of something which he could give to the woman as payment. He found some grains and poured them in his hands because his hands were little. By the time he got to the lady, there were only 5 or 6 grains left. The woman accepted them, placed them in her basket, then gave Krishna the berries. The woman started to leave when the basket she was carrying fell heavier. She looked inside and saw that the grains had somehow become gems. Another day, all the village people came together and decided to move to Vrindavan since there were lots of cows there. Later that day, the word spread and the people started moving. They arrived in Vrindavan by sunset. Since they were used to moving, they started setting up the village again. Krishna and his friends had become bored and wandered off into the forest without telling anyone. Krishna, Balrama, and other friends found a clearing in the forest and agreed upon playing there. Krishna, Balrama, and their friends found a clearing in the forest and agreed upon playing there. They brought the cows with them, and a demon was observing them looking for Krishna. The demon decided to take the form of a cow so he could blend in with the others. Krishna knew the demon was there and saw the cow right away. He took the demon's legs and the demon came down upon the tree and lots of fruits and flowers fell. Balram and the others asked what happened and Krishna told them. Krishna woke up one morning and his friends had a picnic with him in the forest clearing. The boys wandered off and a demon Aghasura had lay down on the ground to look like a cave. The boys went in mistaking the tongue for a newly made path. Aghasura kept his mouth open in hope of Krishna entering, and Krishna did. Krishna found his friends unconscious and he then grew in size and Aghasura, not able to contain Krishna, fell down dead. Soon his friends awoke and they went back to the riverside to have their picnic. The boys were having their picnic and a god Brahma saw them and wanted to find out more about Krishna because of Krishna's power. Brahma's spirited away the cows into his own world, otherwise known as Brahmaloka. Krishna found that the cows had disappeared and went in search of them while his friends ate. Brahma also spirited away the boys into Brahmaloka. Krishna returned and saw that the boys had also gone missing. He realized that this was Brahma's doing. Krishna waited to see if Brahma would bring back the boys and the cows. When Brahma did not, Krishna, using his powers, multiplied himself and then made them look like his friends and the missing cows. Their parents were waiting and asked why they were so late. Krishna told them that a cow had gone missing and that they had to look for the cow. The parents noticed that their kids were glowing like Krishna. This went on for a year, since a human year is a minute to Brahma. Brahma finally checked on what Krishna had done and was surprised to see that the boys were both with Krishna and in Brahmaloka. Brahma still watched Krishna in a trance. From behind him he saw more Brahmas, even though he thought that it could not be possible. He came to Krishna and asked him to explain what was happening. Krishna told him not to be too greedy of his own powers, because he was the ruler of only one universe and there were many more. He said that he had called these other Brahmas to show him how many universes there were. Krishna showed Brahma who he really was, Vishnu, and told the other Brahmas that they could go back to their universes. Brahma spirited the boys and cows back to earth, and they did not know it had been a year. Each year, toward the end of the summer, the people in the village would offer a great sacrifice to Indra, the god of rain. The sacrifice was to ensure that they got enough rain to let the grass grow, but not too much, otherwise Yamuna, the river, would overflow and flood their town. Krishna noticed these preparations and questioned his father. He asked what Indra has done that they should be grateful for. Nanda told him that Indra gives them rain. Krishna said that all living beings are born according to their own karma and Indra cannot do anything to change that. Krishna suggested that they should worship Govardhan hill since they live on it. There is plenty of grass to feed the cows, and from the cows they can make food like milk, butter, and cream. Nanda listened and convinced the rest of the village to direct the sacrifice to Govardhan hill. When Indra did not receive the sacrifice, he looked for the source of problem. He saw that the people were worshipping Govardhan hill. He got angry and made it rain. The raindrops were as large as buckets, and that was just the start of the storm. The villagers asked Krishna for help, and so he quickly uprooted the hill and held it aloft with a finger. The villagers rapidly took shelter under the hill with Krishna. Everyone started enjoying themselves underneath the Govardhan hill. Outside the rain increased and the river started to overflow. Trees started washing away while thunder crashed and lightning flashed. The wind was so strong that it knocked down trees and bushes. This went on for a week. The people stayed safely beneath Govardhana hill, and since they did not have to work, they all just had fun. They paid no attention to the harsh weather outside. Indra was determined to make the people come out of their shelter and beg for mercy. Indra thought that not even a giant could hold out this long, and certainly not a small child like Krishna. Pretty soon he will get tired and put down the mountain, or the hill may even come down on the people and crush them. Nothing of the sort happened. Soon the raindrops lost their intensity and then came to a complete stop. Everyone came out from the underneath Govardhana hill. Indra came down to earth and asked forgiveness from Krishna. Krishna used to play the flute and it enchanted the people of Vrindavan. When he played the flute, everyone would stop their work to listen to the beautiful music. Animals would surround him and listen as well. Everyone loved Krishna and the music he played. One day Krishna, Balram and their friends went outside and into the forest. They were playing near the river Yamuna but did not know that there was a poisonous snake called Kalia. Balrama and his friends got thirsty and drank the poisonous water and instantly fell to the ground. Krishna used his powers to bring them back to life. Krishna went into the water to play his purpose to make Kaliya angry and show himself. Krishna was correct and Kaliya rose from the water. Kaliya had 5 hoods and attacked Krishna and with all of them. A lot of noise was caused and the villagers came and saw Krishna fighting Kaliya. They watched in fear of Krishna being either harmed or killed by the snake. Krishna leaped up onto Kaliya's hood and started to play his flute and dance. Kaliya started to get injured and his wives came and asked Krishna to spare Kaliya's life. They also told Krishna that if Kaliya had to leave the river, Garuda, Vishnu's animal, would kill Kaliya. Krishna told them that Garuda will not kill Kaliya because he will see Krishna's footprints on Kaliya's head. The milkmaids and cowherds could not understand how Krishna was so powerful and loving. They went to Yasoda and Nanda and asked for an explanation. Nanda told everyone what he knew. He told them that he went to speak with the sage about Krishna. The sage has said that his son was an equal to Lord Narayana. The villagers started to treat Krishna how they would treat Lord Narayana. Once during a festive season, people were celebrating when a snake approached Nanda. They tried to get the snake away from Nanda, but it would not leave. They tried for a little while longer and then they called for Krishna. Krishna came and saw what had happened. He lightly put his foot on the snake and it sprang and became a human. He explained that he had been cursed and that only Krishna could make him human once more. Back in the Mathura, Kamsa was becoming frustrated. He was angry that Krishna kept on killing the demons and that the demons never came back. Chapter 3. Kamsa. After Kamsa received no word of the 2 demons he had sent, he asked Narada, a sage, to give him answers. Narada told Kamsa that when the 8th child of Devaki was shown to him, it was actually the daughter of Yasoda. He told Kamsa that the children had been swapped while he was asleep. Hearing this, Kamsa became furious, picked up his sword and headed for Devaki and Vasudeva. He was restrained by Narada, but he told his advisor to bring Devaki and Vasudeva. When they came, he put them back in his dungeons. He sent 2 more demons after Krishna and Balrama, but they defeated these two just as they had done to the others. When Krishna heard that the demon he sent Kesi was killed, he became desperate. He decided that it would be best if Krishna and Balarama came to Mathura, where he could ensure their deaths. He summoned the best wrestlers in all of Mathura and told them that he would set up a wrestling match for them and their opponents, Krishna and Balarama. Kamsa called Akrura, his advisor, and asked him to invite Krishna and Balrama to Mathura for the festival of the bow sacred to Shiva. He said to also invite the milkmaids and cowherds to join them so that they do not get suspicious. Akrura was to leave at dawn. Akrura was a great devotee of Vishnu. When he heard of Krishna's and Balrama's greatness, he had been longing to see them since he was a servant to Kansa. He decided he dared not to make the 14-mile journey. He dared not to make the 14-mile journey. He also felt sad since he used to lure Krishna and Balram to their deaths. He was only slightly happy that he got to see them and stay with them until they reached Mathura. The next day, Akrura left Mathura and reached Vrindavan at night. When he got down from his chariot, he saw the footprints of Krishna and Balrama everywhere. Akrura hopped back into his chariot and drove deeper into the village. Soon he saw Krishna. Krishna was pretending to wait for one of his cowherd friends, but he was really waiting for Akrura. Krishna wanted to see Akrura as much as Akrura wanted to see him. Akrura approached Krishna and Krishna invited him to come inside of his house. For some time, Akrura goes into a trance-like state in which he can only look at Krishna. Akrura spoke with Nanda and Yasoda about Kamsa's message and whether or not the boys should accept. Krishna came in between and said that they should accept the challenge, otherwise Akrura will come back to Kamsa empty-handed and he will be punished. Nanda and Yasoda reluctantly agreed and made the announcement of Krishna's and Balrama's leaving and that anyone wanted to come to the festival of the bow was welcome to come to Mathura. The milkmaids and cowherds felt that Krishna should stay with them since they did not want to be away from him for even a second. The next day, Krishna, Balrama, and Akrura left before everyone else did. The people from the village gathered into a large crowd to say bye to Krishna. Nanda had decided to go to the ceremony of the bow and promised Yasoda that he would bring Krishna and Balrama back safely. They watched the chariot until it became a small dot in the distance and then completely disappeared from view. Akrura drove fast and by noon they were far ahead from everyone who was to attend the bow festival. Akrura performed his daily afternoon worship. Akrura had a vision of gods Vishnu and Shesha. He saw that Krishna was none other than Vishnu and Balram Shesha. Akrura's vision vanished and he told Krishna and Balrama what he had seen. Krishna and Balram confirmed Akrura's vision and then he understood how Krishna and Balram were so powerful. Afterwards, Akrura drove them to Mathura and they arrived at night time. After the people attending the festival, they stayed at someone's house for the night. The next day, Krishna and Balram were walking along the streets of Mathura when they saw Kamsa's washerman. Krishna recognized him from his past life where he had spread false things about Rama, the seventh incarnation of Vishnu thousands of years back, and that now he was reborn as Kamsa's washerman. Krishna realized that the washerman had done bad things in his past life and decided to test the washerman to see if he had changed at all. He approached the washerman and kindly asked if they could borrow some clothes. The man said no and told Krishna to go away. Krishna did not listen and asked the man why. The man rudely said that they could not have it because they were the king's clothes and that people like them could not wear clothes meant for royalty. Krishna touched the man and he fell down lifeless. After that, Krishna and Balram went to the tailor shop. The man running the shop gave them clothes. Krishna tested the man by asking If they could have fancy clothes, the man gave them clothes meant for princes. Without even the slightest hesitation, Krishna blessed the man for his kindness. Krishna and Balarama made their way to the temple where Shiva's bow was kept and worshipped. There were guards there, but Krishna went up to the bow, picked it up and broke it. A wave of terror went through Kamsa. He could not stand or sit anywhere without seeing Vishnu there. Kamsa had been thinking of only Vishnu for the past 20 years. Even in sages, it is hard to attain that stage where you can see God everywhere. Krishna and Balram went to the wrestling match ordered and arranged by Kansa and were against two professional wrestlers. The crowd did not know that Krishna and Balram were going to be against professional wrestlers and shouted that this was an unfair fight. The fight started, Krishna taking one person and Balram the other. They did not receive any scratches for 3 rounds and then they defeated the two opponents. Kamsa, seeing this, ordered his guards to get the boys. When they failed, Kamsa fought Krishna himself. Krishna killed Kamsa, appointed his grandfather as the king, and released his real parents from Kamsa's dungeon. Chapter 4, King. Nanda, Krishna's temporary father, saw that Vasudeva and Devaki were actually Krishna's parents. He wondered how he would tell Yasoda that Krishna was not really their child. Nanda had told Yasoda not to worry and that he would bring Krishna home safely. Krishna sensed Nanda's sadness and told him that if he thought and believed that Krishna was his son, then he would remain his son because he would appear to Nanda the way he saw him. Nanda went back to Vrindavan and told everyone what had happened. Back in Mathura, Vasudeva decided and agreed with Devaki that they should send Krishna and Balram to Guru for education. They learned several different holy books and mantras. Krishna and Balram both had intense concentration and they learned 64 subjects in 64 days. They continued to study with the Guru. Krishna became friends with a boy named Sudama. Once Sudama and Krishna were sent to get firewood. They got lost and stayed in the forest for the night. When morning came, Sudama and Krishna were found by the Guru and his wife. The Guru and his wife took them back so they could rest. Soon Krishna's, Balrama's and Sudama's course came to an end. Whenever the course Whenever the course came to an end, the students would give some gift to the Guru as payment. Krishna, Balram and Sudama asked Sandeepani, their Guru, what he wanted as payment. Sandeepani refused to take anything from them. Krishna asked Sandeepani's wife if she wanted anything. At first she denied any payment at all. Then, after some time, she said that she wanted her son back who had drowned in the ocean. Krishna and Balarama went to the ocean where the boys had drowned. They asked Varuna, the lord of the waters, to bring back Sandeepani's son. Varuna said that a demon had taken him. They went to the demon and the demon said that Yama, the god of death, had the boy. Krishna and Balrama went to Yama and got Sandeepani's son back. They headed back to their Guru's study and gave him his son. Since Sudama was poor and had nothing to give, they gave the Guru his son back as a payment from the three of them. Krishna and Balrama completed the course and went back to Mathura. Soon after Krishna returned to Mathura, he heard of the sorrow of his foster parents and friends back in Vrindavan. Krishna chose Uddhav, a close friend, to go and meet his friends and family in Vrindavan and give them a letter. Uddhav reached Vrindavan in the evening when it was the most beautiful time of day. The people from Vrindavan saw the chariot and thought that Krishna had returned. When they saw that he was not Krishna but his messenger, they started pelting him with questions. Luckily, Yasoda and Nanda too came into their house and asked whether Krishna remembered his old friends and if he would come back. Uddhav was surprised that Krishna's foster parents and friends had remembered Krishna for so long. Uddhav told them what the letter said. He said it is praiseworthy that everyone in the village had their minds fixed upon Krishna, because even with saints it is hard to find that their every second is focused on God. Uddhav and Krishna's foster parents spoke throughout the entire night. In the morning, Uddhav told the same thing to everyone else in the village. Everyone felt a little better after they heard the message of Krishna had sent. Uddhava decided to stay in Vrindavan for a few months and everyone got to hear the stories of what Krishna had done in Mathura. When Uddhav left, he felt that he had learned something from everyone there and they had learned from him. He had learned that he should always be focused on Krishna. Krishna had purposely sent Uddhav because he needed to spend time in Vrindavan. Kansa had two wives, Asti and Prapti, who after Kansa's death went to their father the king, then known as Jarasandha, and asked him to avenge their husband's death. Jarasandha thought it would be easy and told his daughters he would bring down Mathura quickly. Krishna received word of the attack and gathered what fighting forces he could in the little time he had. Jarasandha attacked 17 times and Krishna and Balram were able to protect Mathura. On the 18th attack, Jarasandha was accompanied by a strong and fierce warrior who thought Krishna was a worthy opponent of him. The warrior was told of Krishna and everything he had done. The warrior was given a description of Krishna and was ordered to kill him. The warrior saw Krishna sneaking out of the city and ran after him, knowing if Krishna died, so would Mathura. Krishna slowly led the warriors towards a cave. He did this because within the cave there lay a sleeping saint who was given a boon, a wish granted by the gods. Indra, the king of gods, granted the saints wish to sleep until Krishna comes. If someone comes and disturbs him before Krishna comes, they will be turned to ashes. Krishna knew of this boon and was headed to the cave. Krishna reached the cave. He turned around to see the warrior had fallen behind, but he was still after him. Krishna entered the cave quietly and the sage did not wake. The warrior had seen that Krishna had entered the cave and followed behind him. The saint woke up and the warrior turned to ashes. The saint saw Krishna and Krishna blessed the saint. Krishna returned to Mathura and found that Balrama had fought with Jarasandha. Jarasandha was still alive and so Krishna and Balrama planned to trick the king. They ran up a large hill and hid there. Jarasandha followed them but could not find where Krishna and Balarama were hiding. Jarasandha set the hill on fire and walked away, thinking that his enemies were gone. After Jarasandha left, Krishna and Balarama cleared away the fire with their yogic powers. Krishna decided that Mathura was vulnerable where it was and that the people should move elsewhere. Krishna found an island called Dwarka and thought it was a good place to move the city. Krishna and Balarama used their yogic powers to make a city identical to Mathura. They learned Jarasandha away as the people from Mathura were being taken to Dwarka, their new home. After they moved there, they were not attacked as often. Krishna had chosen a few people for spiritual purposes who were the Pandavas. The Pandavas belonged to the Kuru dynasty. Pandu was their grandfather who married Kunti and Madri. Kunti and Madri were given a mantra that gave them children. Kunti had four children named Karna. And Kunti had a five children named Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakul, and Sahadev. Karna was not a Pandava, but Arjuna, Bhima, and Yudhishthira were Pandavas, and Madri had two children named Nakula and Sahadev, who were also Pandavas. Gandhari had the blind king. Dhritarashtra had 100 sons and one daughter. The eldest son was named Duryodhana. The 100 sons were known and called the Kauravas. Karna was also Kunti's son. So that means Kunti had four sons: Karna, Yudhishthira, Bhima, and Arjun. But this Karan was not Pandava. So, and Madri had two sons, Nakula and Sahadev. So these were five Pandava brothers. The Pandavas had a teacher called Drona. They excelled at everything Drona had taught them. Duryodhana made an alliance with Karna. The Pandavas' course came to an end and Drona required some payment from them. Drona asked them to capture Drupada and they did. Drona let Drupada free and had only captured him to let him know not to be full of pride. Duryodhana had tried to kill the Pandavas countless times. Once he set a building in which the Pandavas were on fire. He thought that they had died, but they had not. After Jarasandha was fended off, Krishna made an alliance with Rukmani, the youngest child of the king Brismaka. The king Brismaka had five sons and one daughter. The eldest was a son named Rukmi, and the youngest his only daughter Rukmini. From a young age, Rukmini had heard of Krishna, and since her grandfather was a great devotee, she vowed that she would marry none other than Krishna. Rukmani's father and grandfather were pleased with her choice, though her older brother Rukmi was not. Rukmi wanted Rukmani to marry his friend Sisupala, the prince of Chedi and the son of King Jarasandha. Without telling anyone, Rukmi arranged the whole marriage for Rukmani to marry Sisupala. Only once it was completely done, Rukmi told Rukmani about the marriage. Rukmani was horrified, and 2 days before the wedding, she decided to send a letter to Krishna. Rukmini asked a saint who was her friend to deliver the letter to Krishna. Krishna heard of what happened. In the letter, he asked Krishna to abduct her, bring her back to Dwarka, and then marry her. Krishna went to Kundapura, where the city was decorated for Rukmani's marriage to Sisupala. Rukmani was excited for Krishna to come. She went into the temple thinking of Krishna, and when she came out, crowds of people had gathered waiting for her. Krishna was waiting for her with the crowd. When Krishna saw Rukmani coming out of the temple, he took Rukmani in his chariot and drove out of there. Sisupala was told by his father Jarasandha that Krishna had kidnapped Rukmani. They set out in search for Krishna and Rukmani, and Rukmi vowed not to return to Kundapura until Rukmi was found. In Dwarka, Krishna and Rukmani were married. Satrajit once did a severe tapasya, spiritual discipline to the sun god Aditya. He received a gem that gave lots of gold every day but did not know that it was cursed. Satyajit thought that everyone wanted to steal the gem except for his brother and friend. Prasena Satyajit's brother asked if he could wear the gem while hunting, and Satyajit reluctantly agreed. Prasena was killed on his hunting trip by a lion. Krishna found him and brought the gem back to Satyajit. Two more people died because of the cursed gem. Krishna took the gem and gave it to one of his devotees and showed everyone that no harm came to the devotee because he did not use it greedily and instead shared it with people. After that, Krishna sent Uddhav to find where the Pandavas had gone. Uddhav found Bhima with his wife and stayed with them for a while and then returned to Dwarka. Soon after that, Drona asked Arjuna and Bhima to capture Drupada again. Drona only released him once he gave the whole kingdom to him. A test was held to see who would marry Draupadi, the daughter of Drupada. Arjuna won in disguise, but he did not marry her. Once Krishna and Arjuna were in the forest and a man claimed to be the Agni, the god of fire. Agni told them that he must consume the forest in fire, but Indra would keep on making it rain. Krishna and Arjuna helped him and then left another day. Arjuna and Subhadra, Krishna's half sister, were to be married. Arjuna had to go and practice some spiritual discipline in the forest for a year. He left he left though they had not yet gotten married. Balrama did not know that Arjuna and Subhadra were to be married and arranged a marriage for Subhadra to someone else. Arjuna came back and told Balrama that he was going to marry Subhadra. Arjuna and Subhadra got married. Once an unknown person came to Krishna for help. He asked that Krishna save the kings in Jarasandha's dungeon. Krishna agreed and disguised himself and Arjuna and Bhima. Jarasandha was asked to pick one of them to fight and he chose Bhima. Bhima and Jarasandha both readied themselves to fight. They both chose the mace as their weapon. Bhima and Jarasandha started to fight. They both exchanged blows with their maces. Jarasandha had never met such an opponent. He had fully expected to beat Bhima on a few hours, and now the fight was dragging on for days. Each night Bhima and Jarasandha retired, and when Bhima came to Krishna, Krishna filled him with renewed strength. On the 16th night of the ongoing fight, Bhima came to Krishna and told him that he had found it hard to overcome Jarasandha. Krishna told him of the weakness and strength Jarasandha held. His strength was that his foster mother had granted him a wish. If someone brings Jarasandha down, he will just come back together and live. Bhima had not known of him and asked Krishna to continue. To defeat Jarasandha, someone has to bring him down and reverse him so he is facing backwards. The next day the fight began and Bhima brought Jarasandha down but forgot to reverse him. All the rules of the fight were thrown overboard as Bhima and Jarasandha fought. Bhima brought Jarasandha down again and reversed him and he defeated Jarasandha. Bhima freed the kings in the dungeon. So I stop the video here, otherwise it will become too large. So the remaining part of the katha I will put in the next video. So thank you my dear friends for watching this wonderful video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Namaskar. ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar, my dear friends. In this video I am going to describe the story of Lord Krishna. So continuing from the first video, I start the second video, chapter 5, War Advisor. Back in Hastinapura, Duryodhana held an emergency council meeting. Karna suggested that they go to Indraprastha and wipe out the Pandavas. Shakuni said that they would have never been able to beat the Pandavas when an entire army was with them. He said that they should not have a battle but a gambling match with Yudhishthira because that was his weakness. Duryodhana persuaded Dhritarashtra, his father, and a blind king to let him do that. Duryodhana asked his uncle Vidura to go and send the letter to the Pandavas, but Vidura said that it was wrong to do this. Duryodhana became furious and told Vidura to stay with the Pandavas, and Vidura only agreed because he thought he could convince Yudhishthira to decline the match. Yudhishthira received the letter and everyone but Bhima asked him to decline, yet he accepted because he did not want to disobey his elders. Yudhishthira thought it was a friendly match and ended up losing everything. They managed to get the blind king Yudhishthira, Duryodhana's father, to want to release the Pandavas, but Duryodhana did not listen. They were going to be slaves to Duryodhana and the rest of his family, but Yudhishthira played another round for their freedom, and since Shakuni had won his time, he thought he would win again. Yudhishthira said Krishna's name and won the match, but they still lost. Duryodhana celebrated his victory and told the Pandavas the conditions. They had to live in the forest for 12 years and then stay in a city for a year without being recognized. If they were recognized, they would have to start the process over again. Duryodhana added that half the kingdom would be returned after that. He had only said that because he thought that the Pandavas would not survive in the forest for even a year. The Pandavas travelled quickly and Brahmins, holy saints, followed them. They ate from a bowl that gave food given by the sun god Surya. In Hastinapura, a sage told Dhritarashtra that his sons are doomed and that the Pandavas will get revenge. Krishna heard of what happened to the Pandavas and went to go and stay with them. Once while they were in the forest, a sage came with his 10,000 disciples and blessed them with success. After a while, the sage and his disciples left. Arjuna did some spiritual discipline and received a Pashupata, a weapon, and Lord Shiva warned him to only use it in desperate situations. Once in the first 11 years of their exile, Draupadi nearly died but took a long time to recover. In their 12th year of exile, Yudhishthira was tested by a god who had made it seem to Yudhishthira that his brothers had died. Yudhishthira passed the test and his brothers came back. The last year of exile began and they went to a city, renamed themselves and found jobs. The last year of exile was coming to a close, so Duryodhana sent out spies to find the Pandavas. The spies came back empty-handed but had heard of some strange activities going on in the city. They went to where the unusual activities were taking place and stole some items from there. Arjuna noticed the missing objects and grabbed his bow and followed after the spies. When Arjuna grabbed his bow, that marked the end of the exile. Arjuna got the stuff and returned to the city. The Pandavas and Krishna spoke about Duryodhana's promise to give half the kingdom back. When they reminded Duryodhana what he said, he refused to give them what he promised. Though peace was wanted, a war was needed. Duryodhana managed to get 11 kings on his side. The Pandavas got 7 on their side. Soon Krishna was asked by both Arjuna and Duryodhana to come on their side. Krishna decided to go on Arjuna's side and gave Duryodhana the entire Yadava army. Krishna attempted to make peace again and went to visit Duryodhana. He told Duryodhana that he had made a promise to the Pandavas that if they made it through the 13 years of exile, they would get half the kingdom back. He said that Duryodhana should give the Pandavas what they deserved. Dhritarashtra wanted peace and tried to make Duryodhana listen, but he declined both of them, so war was final and declared. Krishna went to speak with Kunti and told her that Karna was her long-lost son. Kunti then spoke with Karna, and Karna asked her to not reveal his true identity to his brothers. The Pandavas and Kauravas, that is, were the 100 brothers, were called, got ready for war. Duryodhana realized that his elders were only fighting alongside him because they did not want to betray him. He appointed Bhishma as the army's commander, and his father asked to peace, but Duryodhana was persistent to have a war. On the day of war, Arjuna requested Krishna to move his chariot between the two sides. Arjuna sees his friends and family divided up on both sides and does not want to fight them. Krishna gives Arjuna a lot of advice, first of all about karma yoga and the immortality of the soul. Krishna explains how he should do his duties but without attachment to the results or the reward is the right course of action. Krishna tells Arjuna that he has lived through many births, teaching yoga to many people. Arjuna learned how to meditate and how one can gain the mastery of their mind. Krishna describes how he is in everything and everyone. He taught Arjuna that energy is what creates, preserves, and destroys the universe. Krishna shows Arjuna his universal form, and Arjuna then sees Krishna in every object and every human. Arjuna learned that to become spiritual he should give up lust, anger, and greed and know the difference between right and wrong. Arjuna thanked Krishna for his advice. The signal was given and indicated the beginning of the war. Krishna did not fight at all but gave help to the Pandavas from the consequences of the war because they had faith in him. The war lasted for 18 days. On the first day, both sides were hard to defeat or injure because they were well trained and rested. The sixth day was when many were killed. Duryodhana was fighting and vowed that he would not retire from the battlefield as long as he was alive. On the ninth day, Bhishma decided that tomorrow would be his last day fighting because he was tired. He granted the Pandavas success. Arjuna's son died and he was told that Jayadratha killed his son. Arjuna got his revenge, but in the process of doing so, he nearly died but was saved by Krishna. Once Arjuna was itching to fight Karna, but Krishna held him back because Karna had a weapon called the Shakti, which was given by Indra and could only be used once. Karna had been saving it for Arjuna but was ordered to kill another. He agreed and killed the other, but the other killed 1,000 Kaurava soldiers with him. One of Bhishma's sons said a mantra that would kill all of Pandava's sons. Krishna stopped the mantra and the Pandavas had won the war. The Pandavas claimed the kingdom. Chapter 6, Krishna's Legacy. These are the most important lessons in the Bhagavad Gita. Too much focus on materialistic living keeps people busy but unhappy. Lord Krishna taught a more balanced life focused on spirituality. Krishna spoke about the immortality of the soul. There was no time that a person was not there, nor will there be a time when a person is not there. He said that because no matter what happened to the body, their soul will live on. Krishna told that even after death, a person will live on only in a different form. Krishna said that people focus too much on their happiness and living, chasing after these objects. Whatever the object is, it gives only part-time happiness. Whenever they get that object, they become attached. If they get it more, they become greedy. When that person does not get it, they become angry. If they become angry, it will cloud their judgment. That will lead to making their ability to think state difficult at least for some time. Then they might have bad judgment and make the wrong choices. When a person does work and only thinks about the reward, Krishna said that doing that is not good. If they pay attention to the work without the desire of the reward, that is the right action. If a person has no or little attachment to a material object, person, or thought, they will be able to think clearly. That person will have better judgment, they will have equanimity, where they will not be chasing after an object or running away from something. They will be happy and have everlasting peace. That person will do good actions and know the difference between right and wrong. So, so here the story of Krishna ends. So thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot.